making sure you can hear all of us. Hi, everyone. We're back and so excited to be here. Whew. It feels like it's been more than a week and less than a week at the same time. And I'm really hyped that we're here and able to do this. Hi to everyone out there. Thanks so much, Minoba, for the sub. I hope I'm saying that right. If not, I do apologize. We appreciate it. We love you. It's always nice to see, get that sort of acknowledgement that what we're doing is entertaining and interesting. We're back with another episode of SCP, Crumbling Foundation. I said that backwards, but you know what I mean. Um, with our final A Crumbling Foundation of 2022. Unbelievable. Can't believe that we are coming up on the end of the year. It has been quite a year, but that's not why you're here. So, a couple quick announcements and we will get to it. First, we will be back tomorrow with our final stream of the year, an episode of Dice Trays Action, a 5th edition D&D game that is set in a world that I have written painstakingly and the amazing group of players. That one is pre-recorded by the by, so save your Tales points. I promise you'll find plenty of opportunities to use them. Hi, Chloe! Also, that brings me to my second thing. Just a real quick shout out to Chloe, who is our newest mod. So welcome to the team, Chloe. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Next, if you want to support us, there's a couple ways to do it. You can always subscribe. Obviously, we also have a Ko-fi, which should be linked down below. Over on our Ko-fi, we have a couple different membership tiers, which will give you access to things like naming rights for NPCs and locations, access to our talkback shows. We do one show for every series per month. So you will get the opportunity to go back and check out some of the thoughts that we've had as we've gone through these last couple episodes. The one for this series should be up by the end of this week, which is really exciting. You will also be able to get cool stuff like maps and other freebies. Those cost you nothing. At the highest level of membership, once a month we pick one of those people to get a free character created for them. We will do it if we know the system, we'll do it in the system. If we don't know the system, we'll learn the system. We've got a couple really great people around who are really good at that, and we will make that character for you. We'll include things like backstories, personality, anything that you are looking for to flesh out who that is. I'll even sit down with you and we can talk back and forth and throw those ideas around. And what I think is the coolest part is it comes with free art from our in-house artist, Miss Moon, who we love very, very much. Also, we will very soon, in the next few days, I know I've said that a couple times, but now I'm actually confident because it's finally done, have One Night at Ollie's up. I'm really excited to share this with you. I've spent a lot of time putting this together and trying to make it interesting. One Night at Ollie's is a Five Nights at Freddy's themed Kids on Bikes module that is completely free of charge and will be up on our Ko-fi by the end of the week. Super hyped. Keep an eye on Twitter over at the Lion Knight 42 or over on our Discord, which I'll talk about in a minute, and you can find out exactly when it comes out and get the links to that if you haven't already checked out our Ko-fi. Next, we have a Discord. All of these amazing people and all of our cast and even more other incredible people are also over on that Discord. It's a great little community. We love talking about stuff. We love talking about TTRPGs, games, designing games, writing different modules, stories, plots, and we also like talking about other random stuff. We're working on some community nights, which is really exciting. We're gonna have a whole weekend. Apparently, I can say this now confidently. We're gonna have a whole weekend of leverage style heist games in different systems. Right now, it looks like we're gonna have the Cortex system leverage TTRPG. We're gonna have one in Cyberpunk. We're gonna have one, I think, in Fudge, which is really exciting, and we're also gonna have one in World of Darkness, which I'm really excited about. We'll have some more information about that as we move into the new year, but stick around for that. If you're interested, jump over to our Discord. We also do casting from there sometimes, so you'll get the opportunity to be a part of our shows if you're interested. And it's the best way to get updates on, all the stuff that we're doing, all our shows and everything else. It's a lot of fun. It's a great community. All the people who are there are amazing. We love them very much. Yeah, and I think, we have a YouTube. We can't forget about our YouTube. If you want to catch up on any of the shows that we've done, any old episodes, our one-shots run by some amazing people, run and written by some amazing people, our short series run by some of our amazing people, including Zoe, who ran Avatar Legends for us back over the summer. Those episodes are all up on there. You can go check those
I
out. We're Tales.
did.
Yeah, it was great. We are Tales from the Table Studios over on YouTube. Go check us out there. The link should also be below. We also have interviews on there from a series called Roll for Perspective, where I sit down with a lot of different TTRPG designers, GMs, DMs, uh, uh, and more to just discuss things about TTRPGs, whether it be the design of those games, running the games, what it's like running for a streaming audience, how to get into pay for play games, things like that. It's really interesting and really awesome, and we are absolutely going to be continuing those. We're gonna have some interesting, exciting ones rolling out in the new year. Our most recent one, I sat down with Kendo from Tales Yet Told, which was absolutely phenomenal. We talked a lot about Powered by the Apocalypse and narrative-driven games. Go check that out. Give it some love. I promise you will not be disappointed. Ugh. Now I have said a lot of things, and I'm sure I'll say more later. But for now, I am going to shut up and pass it around. And in the meantime, I'm going to go get Chloe set up the way that they're supposed to be set up. And also, we will resolve who the I and Zoe are giving advantage to, because that'll be fun. But for now, we're going to start with JD. JD, take it away.
Oh God, I always forget. Every other week, I need to be on. I need to be backstage, ready to go. I am not backstage and ready to go. I am JD. You can find me on pretty much all social media at JD, not Jason Dean. As long as the Bird app is alive, I will be there. I am also on Hive and Tumblr. Currently, custody is shared between Tales from the Table Studios and Live from the Apocalypse for me. So while I am here tonight, I will be on Live from the Apocalypse Tuesday and Wednesday. I had to think about that for a moment. Tomorrow for our D&D homebrew urban fantasy game Class Reunion Winter Break, which is finishing up before we go back to our main storyline. And then on Wednesday, I will be running the Jingle Bell Shock mystery for Brindlewood Bay. So we get to see our murder mavens go back into a den of eldritch horror and see if they can catch the murderer before the night runs out. Right now, Live from the Apocalypse is doing the 12 games of Hasmus, so we will be running games for about 2.5 weeks, with the exception of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and there's a lot of great stuff, so definitely join. And I will also be over with Altered Echo Archives on Friday for one of their holiday-themed games, which is supposed to be a Home Alone-style game, so that should get very interesting. But I think that's it for me.
Very awesome. You will also be able to find me on one of those exciting Hasmus games. Very, very hyped. We'll talk more about that at the end because I don't want to take up more time, and we'll pass things over to Jack.
Hello, yes, that is me. I also do things on the internet sometimes. You can find me over on my own channel, twitch.tv/RPGs Uncovered, and all over the internet under the same name. I got a Twitter, I got Hive, I think I've got a Mastodon, I got a TikTok that I plan to use at some point, and of course, everything we've done thus far is up on our YouTube. So just head up to the search bar, type in RPGs Uncovered. I am right there. And if you like what we do, go ahead and hit all those buttons that make the AI overlords happy, because it gets everything out there. I actually don't have too much to talk about tonight, because this is probably the last game I'm going to be in this year. No Star Trek Europa tomorrow or next week, I'm pretty sure. So we will get back to saving my Romulan princess sometime in the new year, perhaps. My big announcement, however, though, is Season 4 of RPGs Uncovered, a series dedicated to showing just how quick and easy it can be to learn a new TTRPG. We're going to be looking at a game called Cyber Rats by Alex Reinhart. It is a fantastic game where you play as a bunch of little rats turned big, or a whole, like, puddle of rats in a lab coat and armor. It's fantastic. It's basically Shadowrun meets XCOM squished together with all that crunchy tediousness taken out of it. It's a Lumen-based game, and I'm really excited to explore it. I've been talking the last 2 days and for the rest of this upcoming week with all kinds of awesome people to get on the cast. I am so super excited for everybody I've talked to. It's going to be an amazing season. We are looking to start that up tentatively on January the 21st. That's going to be a Saturday show, likely starting at 4 o'clock. But if you want to keep updated with that, come hang out with me on Twitter. All of those other things I said. I also got a Discord. Who's next? Tal.
Yes, it's me. Hello. I am Tal Woodblaze. You can catch me over on Twitter at The Gamer's Rest. I'm a TTRPG designer, so most of my work's over on my Ko-Fi. I've got a monthly membership. It's a lot of it's D&D, but there's a few bits and pieces, including some stuff I've designed myself using some different systems. But there's a monthly membership which can get you an exciting adventure and a few weird and wonderful objects that I've designed for your games. But yeah, that's me.
And then we'll pass it on to the Eye.
I just got a heartbreak in chat, so give me a second while I compose myself. I am the Eye. Unlike everyone else here, I don't have a long list of things I do because the only things I do are not within the eye shapes of anyone else in the group. Sorry, I'm crying inside my mask. Yeah, take it away. I am the Eye. You find me here. That's all.
We love you, the Eye. And Zoe.
Hello, everyone. I'm Zoe, or Zoe Trooper. You can find me on Twitter right now because I haven't migrated yet to anywhere cool. You can also find me here on Tales from the Table Studios playing SCP, A Crumbling Foundation. Super fun. I love doing that. In the New Year's, I will be playing a Divine Parent for a Scion game in at Hollowed Haven Studios. We're really excited. I can't tell you which Divine Parent I am, but I get to pop on as an omnipresent, powerful being that just kind of scoots my player in the right direction when he needs it. So that's exciting. And in about February, I will be on Component Cast with a Cyberpunk Red game. So that's super great too.
So exciting. All channels that we love very, very much. Please do check them out. Cannot recommend them enough. All of these people do incredible stuff. With that, let's get to our episode of A Crumbling Foundation. When last we left, our agents had finally decided to step through the veil, and what they found before them was something no one could have expected. A large cathedral filled with people who look as though they have replaced parts of themselves with mechanics and machinery, as well as a large unfinished throne on the far end. The cathedral itself filled with stained glass windows and a strange red tint that seems to hang in the air, along with this thick smell of brimstone. Lieutenant MacCern, being the first one through, made the decision to, as he oft does, approach with violence, though when he in turn was approached by the missing Miss Charlotte Williams, violence was the last thing on her mind. And though he kept a careful distance and asked for the assistance of their charismatic acquaintance? Yes, acquaintance? Ally?
I was going asked.
Oh, asked. That's fair. Both seem relevant here.
There's a lot of scare quotes in that sentence there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, Agent Hart, passing through the veil, handed off a laptop that had been set with a kill switch, hopefully to take down the frequency that was coming out through the arch, and approached Miss Williams, who quickly wrapped him in a deep embrace, as though welcoming a long-lost friend or family member. In the meantime, Lieutenant MacCern took the opportunity to turn on the webcam of the laptop to record, and what he saw was not an unfinished throne, but instead one filled with a large figure that at least some, well, all at this point, of our field agents have become somewhat familiar with. The well-dressed, lion-headed gentleman staring back at him. And as we last left, Lieutenant MacCern had just been reliving one of the worst moments of his life, watching as his compatriots were felled and rose around him, trying desperately to drag him down into whatever misery they were dealing with, only to be saved by that lion-headed gentleman who offered him his hand, and the lieutenant refused. Before we go any further, I would like to take one moment to go over our content warning for this episode, because it's very, very important. Within this game, as a horror game, there will definitely be some elements that are worth being aware of, including atmospheric horror, religious iconography, possible death and or mutilation, and, in this episode, potential self-mutilation. Please remember that your health should always take priority over anything we're doing here, and if at any time you are uncomfortable, feel free to step away. We promise not to take it personally. We love you, and we want to make sure that you're never uncomfortable here. So as we return, I think our camera will open, cutting through one of those stained glass windows, the one of the tree with the large silver fruit hanging from it, and it pans, just barely missing whatever lies outside of this cathedral, and slowly swoops in at an angle, cutting down towards Lieutenant MacCern. And Liam, would you like to tell us what we would see looking at Lieutenant MacCern having just snapped out of this memory?
Lieutenant is currently clenching his fists, eyes beneath the mask, staring at the figure before him. I'm guessing, assuming perhaps too much, that this figure is not touching the ground, perhaps floating above him in some weird way.
Well, it is sort of resting on you're talking about the lion's head
Yes.
figure? He is sitting on the oversized, about 12-foot tall throne on the far end.
But he was just putting his hand out to me.
in the memory, he was.
Only in the memory.
Yes,
Gotcha.
my apologies.
I see.
I should have clarified.
I understand now. All right. Lieutenant is going to just be staying there, hands clenched, nails biting so deeply into his palms that blood seems to trickle down the digits. And he is he takes a step back and everything's back to normal. He's out of the division, right?
Yes.
Okay. So he looks over at Mr. Hart and says, "You better do what you're gonna do really quickly."
And I imagine, Agent Hart, that this comes as you and Charlotte are conversing, as you were exchanging niceties. And you just sort of hear that. You can still hear the low crackle of the throne that you perceive as being on fire far behind her, though, as far as you can tell, otherwise empty and certainly unfinished. And again, you feel the eyes of all of these people on you, silently watching with that same welcoming smile, though Charlotte still looks at you with a bit of sadness in her eyes.
Long shot, do I happen to recognize anybody in the crowd?
Ooh, why don't you roll me a fate and we'll find out.
Awesome. Fate rolls.
Love these
That's
kinds
a
of
1d8.
questions.
All
Love
right. That is a 5.
Ooh. So I'm going to say no, there's no one in this crowd that immediately stands out to you.
All right.
But scanning it, you do see just a lot of these strange sort of features that these people have. None of them are anything out of what would be considered the basic form of a humanoid body. There are no extra arms or limbs or tendrils of any kind, but pieces have been replaced with what look like very well polished metals. For some, it is full limbs. A couple of people have eyes that seem to be comprised completely of metal pushed into their sockets. Some have metallic strands instead of hair that come down from what look like small plugs that have been pushed into their heads, though there's no blood or cracking around the skin that you can see. Some, it's a lot more subtle, strips of flesh that have disappeared and clearly been replaced with metal plating. But all still, at least for the most part, in that normal, whatever you would consider that to be, humanoid figure.
Since I'm pretty close to Charlotte here, can I see any evidence that she's still alive? Can I see her chest rising and falling? Can I see eyes dilating? When we embrace, was she warm?
Interesting. I'm not going to make you roll anything for this. That seems like a very clear, reasonable question to ask. If you like look down, it does look like her chest is still sort of rising and falling. It's very steady. It's very obvious that she is at her like perfect resting heart rate. Besides the small bits of metal, she did appear to be warm. Her eyes don't seem out of the ordinary in any way either. She is perfectly functional and informed, as far as you can tell.
All right. Yeah, so I'm trying to get back into the scene here. We're stood pretty close together. We're no longer like touching, but we're like intimate conversation.
Yes,
range.
absolutely.
Okay.
You wouldn't have to even extend your hand all the way in order to make contact with her.
And she stepped away from all of these pews further down into the church, back where we came in.
Yes.
Okay.
The two of you are sort of at the beginning of an aisle that cuts down the middle of these pews. The first pew is probably about 10 feet away from you. And then it's just the row of them leading to the front.
Okay. Yeah, Charlotte, you've made me feel welcome here. I can't speak to my associate, but you've made me feel welcome here, and I'm gonna just slowly move past her, slowly down, at least towards, not far down the aisle, but down that aisle, between the pews. What can you tell me? Please tell me about this congregation here, this lovely group of people, and this place.
So as you move past her, she turns to the side to allow you to pass. And as you do, she sort of like lays one of her hands on the small of your back, not forcefully pushing you, just a gentle way to sort of guide and steer you were it necessary. And she begins to walk alongside you with that smile sort of perking up again as you ask. And then she laughs, this very soft, almost cold sounding laugh, and shakes her head a bit, and she goes, "Anything that I could tell you would not fit. We learn from each other, but we do not experience through our verbal communications here. It is the experience of filling the space of seeing firsthand that allows us to know. It's how we've all come to be here, how we've all found our place." And as she says that, she looks away from you out at some of the other people, no one in particular, but just sort of making that very comfortable, happy just glance in their direction, and a number of them sort of just very politely nod their heads. If you get like into where the pews begin, people will begin to reach out towards you, not threateningly, but they will sort of, if you allow them, they will start to sort of like pat you on the back or give you that like soft arm squeeze that people do sometimes. If Hevard has ever been to like a church, especially the smaller churches, it's very much that sort of welcome to the family aura about it,
Mhm.
and that sort of energy.
Okay. Yeah, I'll allow that to happen. I'm gonna keep slowly making my way forward, keeping like looking in admiration at this gigantic throne in front.
I think, assuming this is not legitimate admiration and presented admiration instead, would I be right in making that assumption?
I think that's about 75% true.
Okay. Interesting. Then I will
This
not.
is a seat of power,
Oh,
and
yes.
Hevard acknowledges and admires that. Maybe not for the same reason that it wants me to, but he is admiring the accomplishment.
I'm going to make a quick roll for something here. Wonderful.
We hate it when the GMs roll.
Roll
love it
for
when the GMs roll.
assimilation.
Will you remind me again what your cognitive resistance is?
Low, very low. Specifically, it is 11.1.
Ooh, just enough. All right. And so as you continue sort of walking down and she leads you, she goes, I know it can be a struggle. Such a drastic change to just the basic understanding of what is can be jarring and terrifying and odd. But there is a peace here like nowhere else. And it is something that I hope you will come to find. You're here, and I can hear it in you. I know you feel it, and I know you hear it, like we all do. Isn't it beautiful?
But what is it, Charlotte? What brings you this peace? What brings you all here?
The truth. A truth that, if it were up to me, I would tell you outright, but please believe me when I tell you if I did, there is no way you would take me at my word, even with all of this. Even with everything in front of you to stand as evidence, you would tell me I'm a liar. And I would not fault you for it at all. There's no blame here for that. We all would have done the same. Every single one of us. And if I did tell you, and somehow you believed me? And she looks back. And for the first time, you will notice, and Liam, you would notice this too, her smile falters for a moment, and there is the barest tinge of a look of scorn as she looks back at Liam and goes, your friend would not accept it. And you would lose them. And no matter how powerful and how real and how blissful this is, it's not worth losing them. They will come. They will hear it. They will see it. And they will take it into them. As we all have. As you will. And I think that is a good opportunity for us to cut back out to the hallway where the rest of our wonderful field agents, I use the term loosely, are gathered now, waiting. I assume, Liam, as you last said you still had your gun out, and are holding the laptop, you no longer have a free hand to be holding out beyond the veil,
Correct.
which has left the three of you with
Mhm.
no information.
Mhm.
Cool. So the last we heard was that they'd engaged people. There were hostiles
Correct.
in the room with them. Okay, cool. So I'll look at our two science geeks and just be like, okay, kids, today's excursion's been cancelled. I'd like both of you to get yourselves right down to the end of the hall. You do not belong here at this point.
Provided the laptop is still working, can I use the camera on it to observe what the agents in there are doing?
Ooh, I like this question.
That is a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Bluetooth is a thing. I would think that it would work if you had some sort of device for it.
Do you have a way to still be able to perceive it? Like, to connect to it?
Maybe if I paired with either Jackson or Zachary, I could use one of their phones. Because my phone's in a bag.
Yes, yes, it is. And you did not get one of Hev's many burners.
I did, but I gave it back.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Are they
okay.
burners that I can use to, like, is it basically an iPhone burner? Like,
I gave you the.
It's a Nokia 28.
it's a knockoff phone.
I gave you the tablet associated with my drone, which was paired to the drone and to the snake cam. But you could probably you could probably search for any open, Bluetooth and connect to that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, I would like you to roll me a fate roll, please.
Fate rolls. I'm actually half decent at those.
Oh,
so
good.
Let's look. Okay. I apologize for the parrot.
That's okay. Your parrot is like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it. 14.
14. Very, very nice. Okay. So you bring up the Bluetooth option on the tablet and begin sort of scrolling through. And there's a lot. You're in Midtown, or you're close to Midtown rather. You're in Manhattan. There's a lot of different Wi-Fi available. You see a coffee shop that's a building or two down. You see a number of different ones throughout the building, which are mostly recognizable because they are some kind of version of the people's names with numbers and other things kind of thrown in. And then you see what looks like a little bit of a line break. And beyond that are tens, hundreds of different possible Bluetooth connecting points.
Interesting.
You can make out, I'm sorry, just one moment. You can make out which one is the laptop. It's your laptop, right? So you know the name for it, and it's easy to find that extension. But there are so many other ones. And one thing you notice as you scroll through these is that one of them is with some of the letters replaced for numbers, Charlotte Williams.
Ooh, this is troubling. Okay,
I hate this. I hate this so much.
People have been digitized.
Nope.
It's fine.
Nope.
They live on the frequencies now. But yeah, I will square that away in my mind for the moment because I don't have the time right now to dig into that, and I will open up the feed for the laptop currently inside of the chapel throne room.
And as you click in, you see the same scene as Liam from that same perspective. And then that chanting that you were hearing seems to be drowned out as that same sort of crackling flame sound appears. And then, as you pan your eyes across the image, you see the pews filled with standing people watching Agent Hart and what is clearly Charlotte walking and talking. And just about as you get to the aisle and begin looking down the aisle, a long black clawed hand seems to reach out from out of view and block the camera, stopping your view.
Is
Do
this?
do
Do
I
I
see
recognize
this?
this black clawed hand?
You absolutely recognize this black clawed hand, and no, Liam, you do not see this.
No, get out of the way. Do they see it? Do JD or do Zachary and Kennedy see it?
No, if the two of you are looking on the laptop screen, you do not see it. Are the two of you sort of huddled in trying to look at this?
I think so. So I will
Yeah.
just say, to set the scene with Zach, something I had wanted to mention. I think as we've been standing here, especially as like more and more time has gone without us hearing anything from the lieutenant, something that both Zura and Jackson would have noticed and probably had very different interpretations of, since they had different information, is that Zach's hand started to tremble again. Like, as soon as
Right,
he was
yeah.
not actively engaged in a task, you could see like that was starting to weigh on him, and he was not in as good a place as he'd seemed to be when he initially joined the rest of you and was able to dive right back into his work as usual. So I think when Zura then is, getting access to the camera, he is very eager to like refocus his attention on that.
And for Zura's part, this was meant more of a wellness check, specifically for Mr. Kennedy. And she is sharing the tablet freely with all of you. But if you don't see the hand, she is beginning to freak out. Just like, no, get out of the way. I can't see.
What I would also like to say is that as soon as Hart's moving down towards the pews, Liam would have put the camera or the laptop down in a position where it could still record what is happening, but gives Liam a free hand, because now there's, he has to be very quick if something was to occur.
Sure. And I would like Jackson and Dr. Ryan to both roll their fate.
No!
Oh, yes.
Oh no.
And
This-
as
oh,
I'm
no.
as I'm doing that, do I notice that something else connected to the computer?
Yeah, the laptop camera's just on.
Well, it was already on because
It was already on, but do I
Lieutenant
notice that
MacCern-
another connection hit, like something would pop up?
Give me a moment.
That was so much better than I expected.
Hold on for 1 second. I'm just going to answer Lieutenant MacCern's question very quickly. Okay, so I made a roll for it, and I'm going to say no, you do not notice it. It will connect just about after you have placed the laptop down and are standing up. And my thought here that goes with this is you're probably keeping your eyes pretty carefully trained on Agent Hart to ensure that if something happens, you can react as quickly as possible.
Shoot him in the head. Yeah, of course.
All right, let's get to these fate rolls. JD.
17.
Ooh, very nice.
Big 6 for me.
Wonderful. All right. So, Jackson, you see the camera sort of jostling a bit as it is, moved a bit from Liam standing back up, his boot kind of pushing it just a touch. And you take that same sort of glance. And as Zura sort of reacts to something, you can only assume that it's Hev walking with her because it's the only in the way. You're not really sure what that would mean. That's when you see it. Sitting upon this large, oversized throne is the lion-headed gentleman, impeccably dressed. And immediately, your skin begins to crawl, tingle, and then on your chest, you begin to feel a burning sensation. It starts soft, slow, like an irritation, but it grows very rapidly. and it gets to the point where it feels as though your skin is burning away in just this one small spot. Jackson, what do you have on right now? What did you change into?
Just like a casual t-shirt, so just like a black tee.
Then I think you will notice a small black wet stain begin to appear on the shirt, in right above that spot where you are feeling this burning. What do you do?
Instantly rip off the t-shirt. Just
go ahead.
Just straight off and just chuck it down just to examine my chest.
And I think the way the timing works out here is Dr. Ryan, as you are sort of trying to take in everything in front of you, your attention is pulled away just as you look towards the aisle by Jackson ripping the t-shirt off. And you can see there is a small, what looks like blackened burn on his chest. It is two small short lines that intersect at a right angle with a small tip coming off the side. You would be able to, with no rolls, make an instant connection based on what you've seen thus far. This is a Hebrew letter. This is a Yud. And it is seemingly dripping small bits of black liquid, like what had been found covering Jackson.
And I think Zach takes all of that in and then is just like, should we do something? Captain Jackson, I mean, should we I just have a question. What the fuck?
It's a good question. So, like I said, you two out now. Over into the tunnel. Get moving. I've got jobs for you.
Okay.
But
give me the tablet.
Okay.
I hand over the tablet. I can't see anything anyways because someone doesn't want me to look.
So I'm gonna, assuming that I'm able to, I'm gonna reach into my bag and I'm gonna pick out a couple of items to give to them. So I'm gonna give, knowing that Dr. Ryan needs an activity, I'm going to hand him my flare gun with flare. And then I'm going to hand, I've got a couple of bottles of rubbing alcohol, which I'm going to then hand to Zura. Okay, this is really simple and really straightforward. Once you get out of here, I need one of you to fill that room with all the paintings with the alcohol. And then the other one, get ready as soon as I say it to fire the flare gun in there and set fire to this fucking building.
Without the team?
Yeah, I thought leave
Last
no
resort.
man behind.
Well, we've got a choice. Whatever's going to come through there in a couple of moments could easily devour us and then maybe destroy the world. So, last resort, you two are going to make sure that the world's safe. I mean, the three of us are probably going to die, but that's, that's not a bad result out of 5, really, is it? You burn this whole place to the ground as soon as I give you the command. Off you go. Go on. Okay, I'm being serious.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Move
sir. Yes.
your asses now.
I kind of skitter out of the room with my bottle of rubbing alcohol.
And Zach follows.
And as the two of you pass the archway, that smell of brimstone sort of settles again. It's still there, but now is that same mix of just sort of stale air and oil and paints and turpentine. And Zura, you no longer can hear that crackling, burning, or the chanting. As you pass through the arch again, it just sort of fades into nothingness. And I think we're going to cut back over at that point.
Can I just do one thing before?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've got my notepad. So I'm just going to very quickly scribble. Kids are out. Kids are out of the tunnel. Ready when you are, and just put it into a ball and just throw it through the through the doorway in the vague direction where the lieutenant was. So it might hit him on the back of the head or something like that.
Sure. Why don't you go ahead and roll any die and tell me if it's odd or even?
Oh, okay. It's even.
Perfect. All right. And so as we cut back, have you and Charlotte have been continuing down the aisle, just sort of talking, and as you question what it is that is happening here and what you can sort of try and glean and sort of charm from her answers remain fairly consistent the whole way through, that there's very little she can tell you that will appease your curiosity or do anything besides make you run from here in disbelief. She mentions a fundamental difference in understanding as the root of it, the cause. And Liam, I assume you're just very carefully, very closely watching what is happening.
Oh yeah, gun like halfway readied.
And then you feel a tiny, like, bloop against the side of your head. Just a very tiny little pressure for a moment.
Liam's gonna look down at the, I'm assuming, paper ball that just hit the ground.
And when you look at it, you notice that the like black veil that you can see on this side, which on the other side of the arch was just shadow, is very softly sort of fluttering back into place, as though just a very light piece of just.
So Liam will kneel with the muzzle of the rifle up on his knees, so if anything happens, he can very quickly pull it up, and reaches down, unfurls it, looks at it, and reads it. And then as soon as he's done reading it, looks up and goes, "Agent Hev, we're leaving." And there's a very audible gun cock.
Well, Charlotte, my associate seems to be eager to get back home, and I certainly would not want to overstay your hospitality.
You and your friend will always be welcome here. And I promise you, you will find your way back here again. And when you do, we will be here with open arms. There are many ways to find what is. And we have all the time in the world now.
Well, I will be keeping my ears out for this voice of enlightenment.
And she pulls you into another warm embrace. And it lingers for a moment. And then she lets you go. And she looks back over at Liam.
There is a slight twitch to the finger as Liam thinks about blowing off that hand, but restrains himself.
And are you in fact turning to leave at this point?
I'll reciprocate the hug, step back gently, and I am just gonna take a beat on the throne again and just take in that area, see if there's any detail that I've not seen yet that might mean something.
Let's find out. You look back over at the throne and obviously still in flames. And while nothing seems to have changed there, you do notice above it, in the stained glass of the lion-headed man, it has that almost 3D sort of sheen where the things behind it are shifting ever so slightly. And one of the hands outstretched, just a little bit, seems to, it won't come up on my camera, seems to wave. Just the smallest bit. And it feels comforting. You know somehow, intuitively, that you'll be here again. You'll find your way back. And something about that is so comforting. What would you like to do?
Yeah, I'm just gonna give a nod to the stained glass window.
You hear a like a laugh from one of the people behind you, very low, almost like a chortle.
With that, I am going to turn around, not like super startled, but quick. And I'm not looking for the person who made that sound. I'm looking at everybody else because I want to see what their reaction is. I want to see if there's some sort of hive mind shared experience thing going on here that I can pick up.
Why don't you roll me an awareness perception or an empathy charisma? I will accept either in this particular case.
Okay.
Because you are looking for those, that sort of minutia shared between these people.
Yeah.
So I will allow you to do either.
I was going to make an argument for psychology, but empathy works just as well. They're the same exact role for me. So I'll do that. That is charisma plus whatever this bonus is. All right.
Correct.
That is 2d10. It's one of these. And one of these, and 2d8. Okay. I got a 1 there, so I'm going to have to subtract 1, but that is 15, 17.1.
Wonderful. And I think with that, you would notice that there is a look of very small, the markers of amusement on all of their faces. That little upturned corner of the lip that seems to be sort of shared. But you also notice that as it fades back into that very clear, warm smile, it's not all at the same time. It's not the same movement by everyone all at once.
Okay. Yeah, I will just grab Charlotte's hand once again and give that a light squeeze and turn and walk towards my paranoid militant friend.
And as you begin to walk towards Liam, you both hear, slowly building, this very quiet hum from all of these people. It's multitonal. It's not a single note. It's not all in perfect unison. We have a hydrate check we're going to take real quick. Thank you, Del. Always nice to see you. Thanks for looking out for our health. Just a soft, low hum that is noticeably starting to build over time. What do the two of you do?
Liam is in full extraction mode, so gun is fully up at this point, waiting for Hart to join and get behind him.
So it's a hum. It's not a hymn with discernible words. It's just a tone.
Mm-hmm. It's a couple of different tones. They're They're it's
Harmonized.
musical, yeah, it's harmonized between
Okay.
them.
Yeah, screw it. I'm gonna match the tone. I'm gonna just.
Oh, I'm gonna need to roll for that. Ooh.
What are you gonna roll?
Well, if that's really what's happening, Liam doesn't know if he's being assimilated somehow.
If you'd like, you could roll an empathy or a psychology to try and pick that out.
Psychology or empathy?
Correct.
Yeah, Liam has both of those.
I'm not sure if that was sarcastic or not, but
It was very sarcastic.
so I will tell you that for psychology,
I have 1.4 in psychology.
okay, because if you had nothing as a knowledge skill, you would be able to add a d8 to it, to intense to it.
I rolled a 1. So that would be a 5 plus 1.4.
You have
So
no
6
idea. You have no idea whatsoever. It is anyone's guess. It's entirely possible that it could be that Hev has begun whatever. What did you call it? Assimilation here
Yeah.
is joining the Borg. But Hev is also Hev. And it's entirely possible that either this is a tactic that he is using, or he is just flat out trying to get on your nerves. All of these cross your mind as possibilities.
Those are not mutually exclusive.
It's true.
Hart, I said we're leaving.
I'm walking. Yeah. As long as Liam doesn't shoot me on approach, I'll walk up right next to him. I'll kind of give him an eye, and I will turn, sort of cutting off that hum as I look back to the group and see if that's changed anything.
They are continuing, although Charlotte has a much wider smile now. She is clearly very happy with what you've done here.
I will, do a slight, not really a bow, but just like lower my head and take a step back through the curtain.
Liam is going to back up, gun still up, until he goes through the curtain, and then whip around and look at Kennedy as soon as he sees him.
Who's got his top off?
I'm going to take one moment just to confirm something because
Hev does a little.
because I'm not big on those like got him moments. Do either of you grab the laptop?
I would grab the laptop.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to double check that in the moment if that's something that either of you would have the wherewithal.
Actually, I would probably
desire.
shout at Hev to take the laptop as he's like walking by.
How would Hev respond?
Yeah, I'll stop and bend down and grab the laptop.
Reminder though, that laptop has a like neutralizing tone on it. So if there are ideal here is to like scorched earth, that might be worth hitting.
Yeah, the only one that wants to scorch earth here has not been told that.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you walk back through, and Kennedy, why don't you tell them what they see as they walk through the veil?
So just strips to the waist, revolver in hand, just like waiting for them to come through. And as soon as they do, be like, hey, funny thing, I got a tattoo whilst you guys were gone. What the fuck is going on?
Seems I missed one hell of a party out here.
Yeah. The girl?
He's in there.
Is she coming with you?
Not at the moment.
Okay, then I've sent the guys ahead. We are leaving and we are closing this thing off. Good, no objections. Excellent. And I'll
We
just
can
turn my back
have
and
a-
start walking.
We can have a discussion when we're not standing in their front door.
Yeah, the discussion will be that what's the second word in the title of our organization? Remind me again. Oh, it's contain, isn't it? That's exactly what we're going to do. Come
It's
on.
actually control.
Is it?
It's contained.
Well,
Is it?
It is. But
Okay.
it doesn't mean that for
Yeah.
Havoc can still be
But that's
control.
his
That could
version,
totally
yeah.
be his version.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mine
Okay.
is
Hev
definitely
would know
contained.
that. Okay.
Yeah. I
You're
would know that.
contained.
It's totally
Okay.
up.
Yeah.
You're contained.
We'll wind that back.
Liam looks over at Kennedy and goes, all I know is that the first word of my organization is destruction. And that's what we should
Then
have done here.
you're going to love what my plan is once we get out of here.
Do we need to move quickly?
Well, that depends. Are your friends going to be coming through anytime soon?
Doesn't appear to be the case, no.
Well, let's not take any chances. Come on.
As Liam is going, Liam's gonna turn and take out his dagger. It's actually a ski-doop. It's a long dagger, double-bladed, and carve a mark into the wall before turning around and walking away, blocking the view.
So you take out your dagger and you carve into the wall. And as you pull the tip of it away, there's a small bit of black residue on the tip of it. Not enough to drip or run, but noticeably what should be the metal silvered end of this weapon is black.
Liam will sheath it and remember to heavily scrub it down later.
And as the conversation stops, as y'all proceed to make your way towards the other arch, very faintly, you hear the hum. It doesn't sound like any piece of music or hymn you've ever heard before, but it's there, very faintly. But you miss notes even over the sound of boots hitting the stone floor. It's so quiet. The auditory version of the tip of your tongue. What does everyone do?
Liam's just running. He's running from the back, but if Hart or Kennedy have a hard time keeping up, he will push them along.
I'll be fine.
I'm just standing in the room where I was told to go with a bottle of rubbing alcohol in my hand, like,
So,
rubbing alcohol evaporates in under a minute, right? And I turned to Dr. Ryan and he's like, we're going to have to put it down and then set it alight really quickly and then run very fast. I don't think this is a very good plan.
No, I think this is a very bad plan.
There's also civilians in here.
I was about to ask, what are we supposed to do with evacuating the building?
and also, as you both would recall, the door to the art room that Jackson had instructed you to go to is locked. Although, Liam, I think, who has the keys?
I have the key, but Dr. Zachary Ryan is quite the apt lockpicker.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Proceed. I just wanted to remind you of that.
So as we come out the archway, I'll maybe try to explain my thinking. Okay, so that's a passageway that shouldn't exist. We're all agreed on that. Yeah, magic passageway, whatever the term is. We need to close it. Best way we can do that is to set fire to this whole building, and then that way it all burns down. Job done, and maybe we'll get that weird painting that's in there at the same time, and might get lucky, and you know.
You can't honestly believe this whole situation will be solved by one building fire.
You're out with us now, right? Like
Yeah.
you've come to the second arch.
Yeah, so literally you catch the conversation as we're coming out.
Yeah.
That
Let's set fire to it all.
Liam will put in, well, there's always the third option.
unfortunately, I don't think that's going to work, as the whatever this is has digitized.
Wait, what?
It has Wi-Fi ports, and it exists in
Interesting.
more than, like, I assume we could physically burn down the building, but there's these electric fields that we have to worry about.
That's so cool.
We're gonna have a long conversation about what cool actually means. Maybe get you out a little bit.
Yeah, and if Zachary turns towards Liam, Liam is like staring down.
Okay, so all those things need power, right?
Did the kill switch work on the laptop?
What?
The laptop had we programmed a sort of anti-electric field to nullify.
You pressed that Hart, didn't you?
Liam slow turns to Hart.
That was, in my mind, that was only the plan if this turned hostile, which it did not. There's no reason that this needs to, I don't know why you're all freaking out. There is no reason why this needs to be our final engagement with whatever this is. There's still plenty more to learn and plenty more to do to help secure, contain eventually in an actually containable way.
While you were having
the
a
people who are around
powwow,
here.
I was mentally assaulted, and it seems Kennedy was physically assaulted.
Yeah, I'm not big on people setting fire to me. I consider that hostile.
Would you all like to hear the third option?
Sure.
I call the GOC.
And we have a guerrilla militia assaulting an apartment building in downtown New York. I'm sure that will go over
Yes,
quite
I'm
well.
very sure that the GOC is very widely known to be just waving flags about as they go into a building. Yep, we've been out for many years now. The last time we went into San Francisco, and we just waved our flag and we said, "Hey, there's a SCP right over here." It was a wonderful time.
Here's also a thing. I'm not sure if the people can be extracted, but it's probably for the best that you didn't hit that kill switch, because they might be lost in doing so.
Yeah,
Question.
what are we going to do about the residents?
I would suggest that we offer the remaining residents of this building an upgrade to their accommodations in a Foundation-owned facility, and monitor how they continue to react once they are away from whatever influence this is.
Yeah, they can't be left now. We've no idea. Whatever's happened in there is clearly going to have started on them in some way. They've got to be contained. No questions about that. Unless we leave them to burn in the fire, but I'm guessing that's not really.
I would like no, please.
Then we extract them.
I think there's many more steps between here and whatever finally solves this issue. And I'm not sure burning the building down is a useful step here.
I will take a moment to also point out very quickly, Agent Hart, you at least, and anyone else who feels like it would be something they would know for any reason, but you specifically would know that the site that you arrived here through, Site 28 in Soho, is established as an apartment building and does have levels in which they will keep people who could potentially be related to Skips in a way that doesn't permit them to be aware that that is what's happening.
There we go. Yes, we can offer these residents a stay at Site 28. Should they need extra coercion, we can always tranquilize them or use mimetics.
So, how do we stop whatever's in there coming out here and potentially infecting others? I mean,
you said the rooms, the letters forming this archway, they're written in chalk, paint, something removable. They're not etched into the stonework.
Yes.
We could just wipe down the wall. I think that'd be just as effective as trying to burn it down, and by just as effective, I mean barely, but it'd be a stopgap.
I have a question. So the site we work at with all the doors, how do we get rid of a door, typically? How do we stop a door from having a connection?
You are aware that is so
beyond my
far beyond your security clearance. You would, were you to like ask that question, you would be detained maybe forever.
Okay. I was just trying to weasel some extra information out of the storyteller there.
Yeah, please go for it. Always go for it.
All right, I can't use that then.
Admittedly, maybe the fire is. Maybe I'm thinking too big there, but something is broadcasting. Something is powering that broadcast, which is made up of, just to remind you, the DNA of those people in there. If we can find another way to close this portal, perfect. But we also need to make sure it shuts off any kind of connection externally.
Do I see Zura staying there with a bottle of rubbing alcohol? Dr. Von Brandt, may I?
Oh yeah, sure. And I'll hand over the rubbing alcohol.
Take the rubbing alcohol. I will take a handkerchief out of my my pocket. I will squirt some on the wall and just wipe off a swath of those runes. If that works.
I would like you to roll me another fate.
I can't roll higher than an 8. Unless I explode. That's a 4.
Okay. So you put some rubbing alcohol in the cloth and you wipe it along the wall, and some of the markings fade completely. And as they do, all of you hear a rumbling sound. And the ground begins to shake beneath your feet. It starts violently. There is no build, there is no warning. It just begins, to the point where the group of you are forced to grab onto each other or the walls to stay standing. And then, before you have the opportunity to react, you hear the sound of breaking stone as rubble collapses almost instantaneously into that archway. And what's left as the rubble settles, dust kicked up, is just a flat wall. Most of the etchings are still there, mind you, but the wall is flattened. This does not affect what you are hearing in that one moment as everything settles. There's a bit of a ringing in all of your ears. the only way I can describe this to you is a visual. It is as though the humming continues and that ringing in your ears seems to push through it like a needle. And as it fades, the humming persists, quickly drowned out by whatever the reactions, movements, or anything else of your allies is.
So, Lion, I do have to ask, given Zach's situation, is seeing the wall come down, let's say, a little triggering for him?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it is. I think he sees that, and the memory is already so fresh in his mind from the scent of blood earlier that he would naturally be pulled back towards that memory.
Why don't you tell us what that looks like for everyone?
And so I think, as the ground started to rumble and like get unstable, I think Zach automatically would have reached for Zura, because she was the closest to him. And I think if Zura didn't pull away, he would probably still be holding on to her at this point, just kind of automatically as they fell. And I think, though, as the dust starts to clear and the rest of the group is looking around, Zach is just sitting there holding on to Zura, but staring straight at that blank wall. And there is just no expression in his eyes. Like, you can tell he is not present at all. And if Zura tries to get his attention, like squeezes his hand, he does not respond.
Yeah, she's definitely trying to, like, we tumble over the we're safe. Zura's just kind of like, Dr. Ryan, are you okay? Just kind of like snapping her fingers in front of his eyes and just trying to get him out of this. I think Dr. Ryan's been hurt.
As soon as the attention has been given, we're still in the basement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
As soon as attention's been given over to Dr. Ryan, Liam will look over at Kennedy. Finish here, and Liam will put his arm around Ryan and start going up the stairs.
While you're doing this, can I I'm helping obviously, but Zura's just kind of looking a little bit guilty and says, "Can I see that data pad again? I need to see if we cut off the connection."
I think, am I holding it? I think I am.
Yeah, you took it
Yeah.
last.
Yeah. Actually, let's. I want to check all those connections are gone as well. And I'll hand you the tablet.
What's the Wi-Fi looking like now?
Well, first, JD, why don't you take a point of reverence? Because that was
That was
phenomenal.
Very good.
Always happy to do that.
That's perfect. You beat me to it, and I'm so happy you did. Zura, Jackson, as the two of you look through Zura, you would notice all of those additional Wi-Fi connectors and Bluetooth connectors are gone. It's just the standard stuff you had seen before that little line break.
Simplest solutions, I guess. We seem to be mostly in the clear.
The only thing, well, two things left. One, the magic painting. I think we probably need to bag that and get it looked at, because it shouldn't really, pick up stuff from people who are looking at it. And I really didn't like the way the guy said, "Oh, if you look at it 6 times, then you get enlightened." That was a bit too specific for my liking. So I suggest we get that bagged and locked up. Also, We need to turn the power off in this place.
In theory, the power is already off.
That might prove difficult.
Well, I've got some thoughts on that. That junction box. I really don't want to go back in there, but those fuses in there were made of human bone. I'm thinking we ought to bag those as well, and I'm hoping if we do that, that'll be the power gone as well, and then this building is dead.
I'm gonna check Zachary over again, just kind of making sure. Like, are you responsive yet?
I think, did Liam just take Zach out of the basement?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, Zach has been removed from this immediate vicinity.
Are you all right? Did something hit your head?
I'm fine.
The boy just needs a bit of tea and the rest, I think.
There was that sandwich shop they mentioned.
Oh, there'll be a flask of tea in the van. Jackson's always got tea on hand.
That's exactly where Liam is taking
Yeah.
Dr. Ryan.
And Agent Hart, what are you getting up to? You've been conspicuously quiet.
I was going to go and comfort Zachary, but it seems everybody else is piling on that. So do
My
we
other
have...
adopted father got there first.
Yeah. In this Foundation SUV we have, do we have all those fancy paranatural black boxes we can shove questionable things into, or do we need to call for like a full containment unit?
You do have boxes that you can put things in to be like bagged and tagged. You also could call in a containment unit if you so chose. Both options are available to you. I will also give you one reverence because that was such a succinctly Agent Hart response to my question, and I am very pleased by it.
All right. I'll take it. Yeah, at this point, I think Hev's going to call the home office. I assume we go through what's her face?
Miss Eden?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, calling in.
Yes, my good friend Sadie.
So, calling in, there is a automated message that picks up for like a shipping company of some sort, and you have to punch in your identification number and the other expected information, which then connects you to someone who takes your name and then asks you to hold. And you'll be standing there for a couple of minutes before finally you hear that very distinct clicking of the phone. And as you do, that humming seems to sound as though it is coming through the phone, like it is the music played as you wait. And then after about, we'll say 5 minutes, Personnel Director Eden answers and goes, "Yes, Agent Hart."
Hello, Miss Eden. Yes, we seem to have this situation. The team has deemed this situation well enough examined for us to call in a greater containment unit. There will need to be a number of residents displaced and held for further observation. They may or may not go willingly. I'm sure that will not be a problem. The building has been, at least for now, secured of any active paranatural activity. However, there are artifacts that should be properly contained and also examined further.
Such as?
There are three large canvases, two of which are painted. The other one, if I remember correctly from multiple weeks ago, was blank, but said it was meant to be the throne. Yeah. So 3 large canvases, 2 of which are painted with relevant iconography of this particular incident. There is this black ichor and seemingly biological or biological adjacent material fused into the power supply of this facility, which should be collected and further studied. There are the residents, of course, and I'm sure more can be learned from Miss Williams' room.
Hart, can you? There was also a weird object embedded in the wall, in the with the fuses. Yeah,
Yes.
whatever that is, we need that as well. Oh, and this is going to be fun. Me and you get to be put into quarantine. It's going to be fun. Can't wait.
I'm sure most of us would go through quarantine after something like this.
Yeah, you and me especially will, though.
Agent Hart, could you elaborate on that, please?
Well, Dr. Kennedy here, Mr. Kennedy here, was exposed to some of that black ichor I mentioned that did have a number of biological components to it. You will have to ask Dr. Von Brandt for more specifics there. However, he was covered largely up to the waist in it. He also seems to have gotten a new tattoo of some relevant iconography during this this excursion, and I will admit that I, as I usually do, have engaged with people that I'm sure you would consider suspicious, contaminated. So, may be pertinent to observe me and see if there is any lingering effect.
That I would consider contaminated, or that are, by definition of how you understand the Foundation to work, contaminated?
Well, you are, to my knowledge, at least to my access, the ultimate representative of the Foundation. Are those two not in the same?
Agent Hart, I do not appreciate you answering my question with a question, nor do I have the time to entertain it. You know full well that you are far from the only agents in the field at any given time, and so I would appreciate deeply if you kept your answers succinct and to the point. We can have a more casual conversation when you return on site. Now, please answer my question. Or put me on the phone with someone who can.
I apologize, Miss Eden. I do want to answer your question.
Director Eden.
Director Eden, my apologies again. I must have misunderstood what you said. Could you clarify what you are asking me?
There is a moment of silence, and you can hear just an exasperated sigh.
Jackson's actually enjoying this because he doesn't like Eden. Hart's annoyed him a little bit on this mission, so he's basically enjoying this banter that neither of them are happy about between the two of them.
By foundational standards and guidelines, would these people be considered contaminated?
Yes.
Good. Thank you for the brief response. I will have a containment team sent to the location. In the meantime, the group of you will need to get together and write up your report and return immediately. Instead of taking yourselves, potentially contaminated, through Site 28, you will be provided with coordinates and we will be sending you a direct pickup. At which time, medication will be administered, which will put each of you into a short medical-induced resting state so that you can be returned to the site safely. Please inform your companions, and once you are back, we will go from there.
Very well. I'll let the team know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director.
And even before you finish, there is that like click
Mhm.
of it, like halfway through. Thank you. Click.
I'm going to clap Hart on the shoulder and go, I'll let you tell the lieutenant that he's going to be put into a medically induced coma.
Oh, thank you.
Good luck with that. and just make my way up the stairs, just chuckling to myself.
Meanwhile, Liam has taken Dr. Ryan to the van, sat him down, wrapped him in a blanket, made sure he's nice and cozy, and then looked for the tea that was nearby. I'm sure that Liam's own Scottish nature would be able to sniff it out. And then proceeds to pour the cup and sit in front of Dr. Ryan. So, lad, how are you?
And I think Zach, for his part, at this point, like, while he still looks shaken, I think he honestly looks more ashamed. And just kind of keeps his eyes lowered and kind of shrugs and says, I'm fine.
Well, let me tell you something. You think I'm a bit of a hard ass, right?
I mean, yeah, obviously, you've got like 30 weapons on you.
3, 4, if you count the dagger. But I was much like you my first time out. I shit myself when I came under fire the first time. You know, it was artillery fire, several thousand rounds of ammunition flying over my head. It wasn't a pretty sight to see my compatriots getting blown apart. It happens to us all.
I mean, yeah, that sounds like a terrifying situation to be in. We were just in a basement.
You're in a basement with a possible, well, claiming to be divine entity with blood, bones, and God knows what else everywhere, with the prospect of you might have to be forced to burn down the entire building with everyone inside. I would call that, for most people, a high-stress situation.
I mean, I didn't see anyone else going to pieces down there.
Well, Hart's an idiot, so I don't expect him to ever do that. Kennedy and I both have pretty much the same experiences in the past, and I don't think Brandt is all there. So, with those
Zach looks a little offended by that.
not in a bad way. I'm sure. To be fair, I wish that there were more like her around. But people are affected in different ways, differently by different things. You're a social scientist. You should know all this. Shouldn't take a leather rough bastard like myself to tell you everything like this. But I see PTSD and I see it. I know what this is.
I guess it just, I don't know, it seems like this kind of reaction makes more sense for people who have been through the sort of thing you've been through.
Well, maybe I'll see it one day. It sometimes still triggers me. Maybe one day I'll tell you about the time that I just had to relive because of whatever was down there. It's not pretty, and being forced to relive it gave me quite the shakes as well. Drink that tea. I have a phone call to make. And Liam will go into the front of the van and with a burner phone that he has, call the GOC.
Before we get to that call, real quick,
Yep.
JD, Chloe has granted you exertion.
Thank you.
Specifically to slap Liam.
Yes, with the suggestion that it should be used to slap Liam in the face.
I will keep that in mind.
All right, Liam. You are making a phone call. Oh, we have one more. Who's it for, Del? Liam!
Oh,
Liam, an
wow.
exertion to defend yourself.
Thank you.
You're playing us against each other. Jeez.
Wonderful. I love you, chat. Y'all are amazing. This is perfect.
Incredible.
All right, Liam.
I do believe I am calling Joshua Moore, correct?
Yes.
General Joshua Moore?
Correct. So it rings for a moment, and in a very clear contrast to the way that the SCP Foundation, the Foundation rather, has set up its phone lines. This is, I assume, a call on, well, a burner phone, a secure one.
Very.
And instead you are greeted with an automated message that asks you for your department, what department you're trying to reach, and it asks you for the extension number and all of that. And it takes a couple of minutes to connect through. There's no music on the other end. It simply rings. And then after a couple moments, click. General Moore, can I help you?
General Moore, it's Liam MacCern.
Ah, how's it going, old boy?
It's going. I have quite the report to make, and I have to make it quick. My assumption is that once I get back to the SCP, I'm not going to be able to contact you for a while.
You're gonna have to talk real fast then, son, because you got some explaining to do.
It seems we have found a SCP at redacted location. And it has the possibility of spreading rather quickly through Wi-Fi signals. Not quite sure the exact mechanics of it all, but from what I saw, people are being turned into machines by some being claiming to be divine. Now,
Von robots.
I tell you all this with the explicit understanding that I am not quite sure of the agreement that was made between the GOC and the SCP upon my arrival. Am I supposed to be telling you all this? And if not, perhaps I need some extraction.
Well, doesn't sound like anyone's dead just yet. I wouldn't go into a panic. I think what's gonna happen here is write up your report for them the way that you're meant to, and we're gonna be in touch. You'll also be writing up a report for us as well. We'll go through the proper channels to get that. The real suspect to me that they put you out in the field sounds like can't help but wonder if maybe they sent you out here hoping something would happen, but wouldn't be beyond the Foundation, right? Either way, yeah.
Considering what I've heard while I've been there, no, not at all.
Well, we're gonna be in touch and we're gonna figure things out. Don't think it's worth going behind anyone's back just yet. It's pretty important that we're able to make this relationship work, at least to the best of our potential, so that if it does go sideways, it's real clear whose fault it is.
Understood, General.
Doing your duty.
Too well.
Stay safe, stay armed, stay ready.
Will do, General. I'll get back in touch with you as soon as I can.
If for any reason you're not able to make contact once you get back to your facility, don't worry. Once we become aware of it, we'll be expecting you to make contact in the next week. We'll put something together to deal with that.
Thank you, General.
Not a
I
problem.
would also like to put out a possible recruitment idea for you.
I'm listening.
There's another member of my team that seems to think more alike to us than to the SCP.
Keep going.
Captain Jackson Kennedy seems to be a little bit more on our side of things when it comes to putting these things down rather than studying them for long periods of time. I think he has a bit more of an understanding of the dangers these things possess.
Real quick, 2-minute pitch. Give me the rundown. Who is this guy?
He's an Englishman. You know, not all of us are perfect. But
It means a whole lot that you're recommending him then.
it's true. He's a field medic, has quite a bit of a battlefield experience, and has been having my back the entire time I've been out here. We seem to get it off quite well.
All right, well, we'll keep it in mind. We'll look into Mr. Kennedy, see what the deal is there. Excuse me, Captain Kennedy. And we'll go from there. What I'd like you to do is when you write up your report for us, just wherever you feel you can naturally fit it in, include whatever information we should be aware of concerning Captain Kennedy. And we'll take that into account as well. And when we next talk, we'll come up with some plans as to how to go about what the next steps are regarding the good captain.
Sounds perfect to me. Goodbye, General.
Okay, no.
I think by like we're watching as Kennedy and Hart and Brandt are coming out, and he's like, "Okay, bye." Click.
So very quickly, is there anything else before we move on from here that anyone else would like to do?
As I'm trailing behind Kennedy, walking back to everybody, I'm going to take out my phone again and flip back to that same text thread that's been going.
Gone.
Gone.
Yep. As though it never existed.
Okay. I'm just gonna open up like a notepad app, and I'm just gonna type in, "I know that wasn't your only door. I'm sure I will be seeing you soon." I'm just gonna save it and put it somewhere in my phone.
Love it. Jackson, Dr. Ryan, Dr. Von Brandt. Anything before heading off towards your pickup destination?
I, for one, am personally in like full documentation mode. My forms are always filled out beautifully, so
Wonderful.
As a medical doctor, you cannot read any of my handwriting at all whatsoever. It's just scrawls on a page. Jackson's just going to take one last look at the building and just kind of shake his head and just be like, and just head back to the van.
Dr. Ryan.
I think Zach, honestly, like as soon as he realizes we're now in report writing mode, I think he very quickly takes to that and just like immediately shifts gears, and probably is like asking Zura questions, since this is his first time in the field, just to be like, you know, how thorough do they want this? Should I put in all of the details? What is the most important thing to prioritize? Because he wants to get this right, because this is what he's good at.
what's funny is when you say this is my first time in the field, she just kind of smiles and says, "Mine too."
I'd like to work my way into that conversation because I
Sure,
think that's very
yeah.
important
Please.
information. No, a lot of questions about Zura to Zura. How do I document this? What does this mean? What exactly did you find here? Trying to engage as much as he's capable in the sciences there,
Mhm.
and much the same with Dr. Ryan. How would you phrase our conversations with Mr. Moore? What are the pieces you put together here?
Oddly, Zura would actually have a lot of good advice for this because I would like to assume her really good documentation about her experience with SCP-1471 is what let her out again.
Heck yeah.
Like, it just took a while. But yeah, she gives as many tips as she can.
Love it. And I think as the group of you pile into your 2 respective rides and begin to make your way towards the extraction point, the camera sort of trails back as you drive off.
Does anyone ride with Hev?
Ooh, good question.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh,
We've made a friend.
Love it.
Sorry.
100%.
Oh, I love Liam's like heartbroken. And with that, we are going to take our 15-minute break. A couple minutes later than usual, we're going to step away for a little bit, get some water, use the bathroom, stretch, be away from the computer, do whatever we need to do. Y'all should go do that as well. Our wonderful chat, thank you for being amazing up until this point. We always appreciate it. All the love that you're showing us. We'll be back in like 15 minutes. You should go away, get a drink, get a snack, use the bathroom, go walk around the block, do whatever it is you got to do. But be back here because we absolutely, definitely will. And we look forward to part 2 of tonight's episode. See you soon. Hey everyone, we're back with the second part of this episode of SCP: Crumbling Foundation. Hope you took the opportunity to take your bathroom breaks, get your water, stretch out, walk around, walk the dog, do whatever it is you needed to do. But we're here again, and we're very excited. So, as we come back from our break, there is a cinematic shot sort of over a private airstrip where the entire place seems to have been evacuated as the two cars pull up. And each of you, as you get out, are approached by what look like people wearing very plain, just suits, not quite as well tailored as Agent Hart's, but not everyone can have such an impeccable sense of fashion. You are each given a pill to take with the explanation and promise that it is not an amnestic and that it is strictly to prevent and protect the location of your home site. You've all been briefed before on why this is important and what this means and why it is that this is the protocol.
This is after we write our reports, though, right?
This is after you have filled out as much as you can on your way to the extraction.
Okay.
Yeah, the rest of it will be finished after you arrive at the facility. And you will have the opportunity to do so while in quarantine to work on it there as well. But right now, the primary focus is on getting you back and out of here and making sure that none of you are any more of a danger to anyone than you were before you left. Clearly not a pointed statement at anyone in particular. Barring
Make no promises.
barring any issues with that, if that goes well, then the next you find yourselves sort of drifting off after boarding the plane, which is a actually rather nice in the internal. Outside it looks like a very basic jet, but once you're inside, it is sort of like, it looks kind of like a luxury jet almost. You have these nice, large, cushioned seats. There is no televisions, no phones, no radios, no electronics of any kind besides what is necessary for the plane to do plane things. You are all provided with pillows and blankets and other things to be comfortable because no one wants to wake up with a crick in their neck and then have to get in a box for however many days or weeks it will be.
I will say Zach is definitely like looking stressed and uneasy by this point. Like he doesn't argue against taking the pill, but it is pretty clear as it starts to take effect that like he's starting to panic a bit because the boy doesn't sleep. And this is being forced on him, and he's not super happy about that. So I don't think he makes a scene, but anyone who's near him can definitely tell like he is not settling into this. He is like actively panicking.
I'd go over at that point and just, gently put a hand on your shoulder. Zachary, we're just gonna take a little nap, help us relax. I'm sure in your line of work you understand the usefulness of different pharmaceuticals and other means to help you just unwind. That's what we're doing. We're unwinding. That's all.
I mean, logically, yes. I don't sleep much. I don't like to sleep.
Oh. Well, I can understand the worry then. But I'm right here with you.
And I will say that does seem to help a bit. With Hev there, Zach settles down.
How closely are we being watched while we're doing this?
Very. There are absolutely eyes on you. You also can see that there are little like semi-sphere, like black semi-spheres from different angles on the jet. So there's definitely cameras on you as well.
For Zura's part, she seems like an old pro at this. Used to the pill, used to just going to bed. after doing her write-ups and stuff.
Was there any particular thread you would want to follow from that question, Lieutenant MacCern?
Nope.
All right. So you take your pills, you drift off. Over the next couple of days, you wake up without really a sense of how long it's been. Inside of these clear, either glass or like plastic or some sort of clear containers, rooms, and in them you have been provided with a bed, with a fairly comfortable, like nice soft bed. There's pillows and blankets. There's books, and all the things you will need as well to write up your reports if you so choose to. You are also set up in such a way that you can communicate with each other, and there is like an intercom button with different numbers on it that relate to the different rooms. They don't tell you which is which, but it's not a puzzle. It takes a couple of pushes to work out so that you can be in communication with each other and you can see each other. There is a setup so that the things can be turned to opaque when necessary, so that you can get some rest, although there are cameras in each of the rooms as well to ensure everyone's safety. And you are told once you awaken and are contacted that you will be in these for a minimum of a week, possibly 2 weeks, as they run their tests and run you through all sorts of the whole gamut to ensure that everyone is safe to be returned to the open space of the site and to get back to work. During that time, are there any conversations that we would like to find our focus on as we go?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go for it.
So one afternoon when I'm feeling particularly bored, I will buzz Agent Hart's room, as it were.
You're buzzing me.
You trouble me, Mr. Hart.
I trouble you.
Oh, real quick, we do have a hydrate check. I apologize for interrupting. Thanks, Miss Boone, for keeping us hydrated. Apologies for that interruption.
I trouble you, Mr. Kennedy. That hurts.
Yeah. Do you remind me of when I worked in a hospital for a little while. They had this lawyer, and
Aren't they the worst?
oh, the worst. And I could never pin him down. Just something that worried me.
Never know what those guys are thinking.
No. Why are you here, Mr. Hart? You chose to be here, I assume.
Why am I here? That is a good question, and I'm sure we could delve into the depths of philosophy with it, but I'm assume that's not exactly where you're going.
No.
I'm here because the Foundation asked me to be here, and they presented a well-rounded, meaningful argument, and admittedly, a paycheck with the appropriate number of zeros. I'm here because all of this interests me. It's a curiosity. It's things I do not know yet. It's things that can be beneficial to a great number of individuals, organizations, myself, ourselves. There's a whole world out there, and a blanket has been pulled over the eyes of most people. I am not most people.
No, you're definitely not most people. What did you do before you came here? I'm just curious.
I've worked in a number of various professions. I have a well-rounded skill set. I've worked for a number of law offices, a number of politicians, a number of various businesses with all sorts of goals, agendas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I provide a means of communication where it would otherwise be difficult.
Sounds thrilling.
It's tedious most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the other time, downright aggravating.
Oh, I get that. I get the aggravation, definitely. Hmm.
It's all about perspective, Mr. Kennedy. And being able to relate, being able to see that perspective and move yourself to try to get a better line on exactly where that individual, organization, entity happens to be looking. And most importantly, where they're standing from. Unfortunately, most people don't like you standing that close.
Mm-hmm. My concern with you, Mr. Hart, is would you take a bullet for another person?
Would I take a bullet for another person? A random person? No, not particularly. Not unless that person has some value that is superior than mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be more concerned with preventing that bullet from leaving the gun.
Well, of course.
If we
It's
get to a
always the
point where
aim.
bullets are flying, something has already gone catastrophically wrong. We have other people in our new merry band to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
But I will say, the rest of us here are also not most people, nor some random people.
That's
There's
true.
value to each and every one of you here. Value I can provide.
I do wonder about this little group. It's
Poorly constructed.
That is a polite way of saying it.
I try to keep up on my etiquette.
Do you ever wonder why we were sent
I wonder
out
why
there?
all the time.
What are
I'm
your
sorry
thoughts?
I cut you off. Which
No,
why
no.
are you specifically asking about?
Oh, why we were sent out? Got to be a reason, right?
The five of us, or we, the Foundation?
The five of us.
Well, I think we have 5 very, very interesting rats in a very interesting maze. Beyond that, as I said, each one of us has a very different skill set and a very different value that is added to this. If we can work out how to make this all work, we'd largely have all the bases covered that a prime field team would need to accomplish their goal, as long as we're not stepping on each other's toes the entire time we're dancing.
Can I offer you a piece of advice, Mr. Hart?
Oh, of course. I'm always interested in advice.
Don't push the lieutenant too much. I know that you know how to push his buttons. I know that you might even have some advantages over him in certain areas. But I've seen that kind of man before. Trust me. Just think before you push his buttons.
I have a great deal of respect for Lieutenant MacCern, whether it's immediately obvious or not. However, I do believe he needs to broaden his own perspective, and he seems unwilling to do so. So sometimes that requires a little bit of a nudge.
Old soldiers do get stuck in their ways.
And they don't often take the hand that reaches out to them.
Depends how the hand's offered, Mr. Hart. If it's offered with a, how should I put it? A sarcastic smile, it never gets received well.
I think out of all of us, there is the greatest expanse between myself and Mr. MacCern. We have drastically different, almost fundamentally opposed experiences in how we deal with just about everything.
You need to know that if he thinks at any point that you would try and profit from or use any of the individuals we come across, he will put you down.
Well, I would hope that it does not come to that.
Just
I would also say that that is a wholly unuseful way of thinking for our entire directive.
What you've got to remember is that the good lieutenant, he isn't of our directive.
No, he's not. And for full transparency, neither am I.
Yeah, insurance salesman. Yes.
Oh, I sell no assurances.
Just be wary of him. I really do think you're right in that you got some intrinsic value to offer this group. Just find a way to deal with him that doesn't make him want to shoot you.
Oh, I intend to. I just needed to make sure that he knew that I can take a bullet. Metaphorically.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Really.
Real ones are far
real ones.
Too much work and far too much mess for me to engage with on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I really don't want to be sewing you up. It's boring after a while.
I can imagine.
You have a good day, Mr. Hart.
Well, I plan to.
Click.
Love it. Right. And from there, I think the next thing that we would cut to is maybe a couple of days later. Zura, you receive a notification through your intercom that you will be having an indirect conversation with the Chief Science Officer, Riley Welch, who you have communicated with recently throughout all of this. A couple of minutes go by, and then you hear the buzz of the intercom.
Good day, Dr. Welch. I think it's daytime. I'm a little confused on time while stuck in this box.
It's hard to say in here, Dr. Von Brandt, but I think that is intended. Safer prevent as much information from the outside as possible from being discerned.
I understand.
Can you tell me a bit about what happened and specifically any things that you may be concerned about regarding both what it is that happened while you were out in the field and with SCP-1471?
Well, part of me had hoped that going through the doors at the site would at least temporarily deter SCP-1471 from following me. That was not the case. They were with me pretty much from the beginning once I stepped into New York. Behavior was very much similar up until a point where interaction and suggestion seem to be more on the forefront of SCP's 1471's mind. I'm
sorry to interrupt you for a moment. Are you suggesting that it was actively trying to communicate with you in more of a way than it has in the past?
Yes, actually. When we were first introduced to the room, there were things scattered about everywhere, and SCP-1471 told me where to look, non-verbally, of course, but using a hand to indicate. One of the items that we have brought back or set for catalog involves schematics of a chair. That was one of the things SCP-1471 indicated was important.
Were there any other actions that you would say were strange or different from what we've observed up until this point? Or was that the totality of what seemed to be different here?
Interacting with individuals in my team, or at least attempting to, was a peculiarity.
Interacting in what way?
Well, Mr. Hart was using his phone to contact someone, and SCP-1471 moved towards him and indicated to the phone.
Do you believe that... Sorry, hold on for one moment. And then you hear furious typing.
Yeah.
Do you believe that it was attempting to spread in doing this?
I can't be certain. I inspected Mr. Hart's phone briefly, did not see any sort of the traditional message that SCP-1471 leaves. As far as I could tell, it was not in the phone was not infected. Mine, however, was, and not through the traditional means.
I'm sorry, could you expand on that a bit?
Yes. As you know, going out into the field, all electronic devices that have been designated a byproduct of SCP-1471 are bagged and tagged, left in the facility. My phone was not one of those devices, but later on, I don't know if it's because of me, because I have been through the incubation period. My phone became infected without accepting any sort of conditions.
In what ways did you determine that your phone had been infected?
A photograph was sent, which is per the norm, of SCP-1471 standing in a location. It was a photograph saved to my device. I did not show or confirm with any of the others in the group for obvious reasons, but I believe that that's what happened.
I will tell you that in the time that you've been in here, we have been running tests, and I will confirm for you that it does seem as though your phone had in fact been infected. We have subsequently taken and destroyed the phone, as we have plenty of samples already and are not looking to add to that list for fear of what might come from that. I do appreciate your insight into what has happened out in the field with SCP-1471, and would like to hear a bit more about what, if anything, you believe you encountered while out in the field on this mission. I already understand that you are working on your report, and I'm confident that that will help as well, but I would still like any insights that you might have that you think would be pertinent, not only to what you've dealt with up until this point, but what this might be, or in what ways this might work.
Honestly, the implications of what we ran into, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. It was something that considered itself to be a deity that worked through electronic waves and through Wi-Fi and other electronic means, as well as the physical world, and that reminds me a great deal of how SCP-1471 operates.
All right.
I have to wonder if the two can synergize, but thankfully that did not happen as far as I could tell.
Do you believe that there's any direct connection between the two, based on what you've experienced?
No.
All right. So perhaps would it be agreeable to say that they may operate in similar fashion in a way that allows them to function together, but are not inherently connected in any way?
Yes, I would say so.
All right.
Dr. Welch, before we continue down this line of questioning, am I going to be quarantined indefinitely?
Dr. Von Brandt, I think you know full well that I cannot answer that question. What I can tell you is that based on the way that this was resolved, there is a reasonable request from someone fairly understandable within the site who is ensuring as best they can that your continued work will not be deterred by whatever our end conclusion is when your quarantine time is supposed to end.
Zura makes note of how carefully Dr. Welch was choosing his words there. And I just finally go, okay, that said, is the rest of the team cleared to for me to tell them what has been happening? They all have the clearance to know about SCP-1471, but obviously I was unable to tell them about my involvement specifically.
There is a long moment of silence after the intercom button has clearly been pressed that just sort of lingers. Yes, you are authorized to discuss with them anything that you feel would be pertinent or useful for them to know in order to provide their safety and effectiveness in the field, as well as your own.
All right, good. Hopefully that will smooth some things over between them. Wait, you just admitted I could continue to do field work?
I'm sorry, Dr. Von Brandt. I said nothing of the sort.
Of course. I look forward to hearing the resolution of that.
You have a very good day, Dr. Von Brandt. And with any luck, we will talk again soon.
Yes, thank you. Take care, and I'll hang up. Just kind of like do a little yes.
And I think after you say that, there was another like quick buzz from your intercom, and you hear Dr. Welch go, "You have a good day as well." Now from there, I believe we will be cutting to Agent Hart. Is there anything in particular that you would like to do? You are muted.
Not while we're in quarantine. I would like to talk to my nerds when we're face to face, as it were.
All right.
Otherwise, I'd just be making small talk with everybody until they mute me.
Okay, very quick show of hands. I'm sure I will not be surprised by this. Is anyone going to eventually just sort of mute Agent Hart? And I am more surprised than I thought I'd be.
I don't know if Zura would, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think Zach would, because at this point, that's just something else for him to focus on.
Look, I got so many points in charisma and charisma-based skills. I can find a conversation with any one of you people to keep you engaged.
Heck yeah. And I think as we get to about halfway through the second week of your quarantine, Liam, your intercom buzzes.
Liam is currently, when this is happening, hunched over a notebook. And when he hears the intercom go off, he slowly closes the notebook, stiffens up, presses the button, and says, "Aye."
Lieutenant MacCern.
Who do I have the pleasure of speaking to?
You are currently talking with Personnel Director Sadie Eden.
Ah, yes. Miss Eden, what can I do for you?
Lieutenant MacCern, I will keep this conversation brief as I have no interest in dragging it out any longer than I have to. I would like to take a moment to ensure that in the time that you have spent both here and in the field, you have felt as though at no point were you in any more danger than you had to be in, and that in your time here, we have not in any way mistreated or otherwise expected more from you than you are capable of producing.
Liam will remove his finger from the button to give out a wry chuckle, thanking the general for his due diligence in his absence. And upon pressing the button, will say, "Yes, Miss Eden, I will give a full report to the general of every due diligence and a bit of hospitality you have given me. I appreciate it very much. The cold soup this morning was quite refreshing."
I will ensure that next time, instead of gazpacho, you are provided with a soup that is more to your liking.
Ah, I appreciate it, Miss Eden.
Now, with that said, I hope it is understood that before the report is turned over to the General and the GOC, we will be looking it over as per our working agreement. I would also like to ask for your thoughts on potentially continuing field operations moving forward.
May I ask why you want me specifically out in the field? I'm sure you have a lot of peons more aligned to your own ideology than myself that is willing to dive headfirst into a pit of vipers.
You are absolutely allowed to ask any question you would like, although I will tell you that in this particular instance, you will not like my response. Would you like to hear it?
I would actually, yes.
I will not be answering that question.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm sure there are several D-class personnel just absolutely astounded that you are not sending them into the fire. But alas, I will continue to do my work as asked of me until the general or yourself says I am no longer of use. Just know that I have my own orders as well.
And as long as your orders do not put any of our personnel in danger, or civilians in danger, I am confident that that will not become an issue, and if it is, then your general and I will have a conversation, and we will determine what the best steps are moving forward. In the meantime, I expect that orders or not, you will respect Foundation rules and regulations, and that you will be careful with when you determine it necessary to put your hands on our agents.
That particular agent you are mentioning is lucky that he didn't get a bullet in the back of his head towards the end of everything, considering he was being hugged by SCPs as well as kind of humming along with them. For a brief second, I thought he was assimilated. It was quite a bit of a hold back on my part not to put a few into him right then.
I will advise you to choose your words very carefully and ensure that your report is detailed. We will have a conversation about this later to ensure that I completely understand where it is you are coming from and why what events took place did. Is that something that you think you can handle?
Very well, yeah.
Good.
What about you?
Excuse me?
Oh, I'm under no pretense that we like each other, Miss Eden. And I'm under no pretense that you especially enjoy my company. So I would like to be as frank with you as you are with me.
I'm sorry, what exactly is it that you're asking me?
Oh, nothing at all. We'll talk later, I'm sure.
Thank you, Lieutenant MacCern.
Have a wonderful evening, Miss Eden.
And as you start saying that, I think you hear the cut out of the little bit of static that you usually hear when on an intercom. And though obviously there's no way you can hear it inside of your little quarantine box, I think you can almost hear the steps against the tile.
And as soon as the steps and the tiles go away, Liam will walk back to the simple chair he was sitting in, open the book, and start doodling once more.
Dr. Ryan, what is the first couple of days, maybe even the first week, like in quarantine for you?
I think for the first few days, maybe even the first week, Zach is very much focusing on the paperwork and going even above and beyond. He is sitting there trying to draw out everything he can remember seeing, making notes on things, probably filling the room he's in just with piles and piles of paper. I think as he starts to finish up on that, he starts to get restless because he's used to having the full site, as much at least as he has access to walk around in. And as he has specified, he does not sleep much. So these are very long days for him. And without kind of being able to do all of the things he normally would, he's getting more than a little restless by the time that first week is wrapping up and we're heading into the second.
All right, and I think from there,
I will.
Oh, yes.
I will say, just to piggyback off of that, I don't want to insert myself in somebody else's thing, but I would see Mr. Ryan's anxiety, and I think that small talk that Hev is throwing out to everybody, he would try to direct a very healthy amount of that towards Dr. Ryan to keep his mind occupied.
Yeah, and I think that Zach is very appreciative of that and definitely latches on, and especially if Hev is willing to let Zach ramble to him about all sorts of things involving forensic anthropology and archaeology and all of the other things he specializes in, that could definitely keep his attention.
And we could play word association games, or that game where you have to give a word, like a place name that starts with the first letter of the last letter of the last person's word. Yeah, we're just having a good time.
Yeah, and I think that helps a lot.
Keep his mind occupied.
And I think it's interesting because I think there is a moment where we're kind of talking, and I think actually Zach might even be one of the people to initiate some of that, and to be like you kind of realize something he does to help himself is give him tasks like identify a song that begins with every letter of the alphabet. And so it definitely lines up really well as the two are going back and forth.
I have
Love
a
it.
question. Is this something that anyone else would jump into?
Definitely.
Words a nerd party.
Zura
Definitely not.
Zura love this kind of stuff, and like I imagine she's got this giddy sound in her voice, but she can't come right out and say, "Hey, I might still get field duty," because she doesn't know for certain yet. So she's hiding something positive, that's ready to burst at any moment. But yeah, she will definitely help with all of this stuff.
Wonderful. Lieutenant MacCern.
The lieutenant has been isolated. Doesn't really talk to anyone unless they specifically call him, and his answers are curt, pretty short. However, every time he goes back to his notebook and he's drawing something, and as the camera pans over his shoulder, there is the obvious symbol of the GOC, but it's different. On either side of the GOC symbol are two outstretched swords, as if stabbing the very sky above it. And instead of the normal words written around the outside, it says, "No gods, no masters. Tear down the divine."
And from there, the camera begins to fade to black. And just before we lose complete sight, as it pans back and darkens over our little ring of agents, you hear the intercom buzz, each of you, and a voice goes, "Your quarantine has been completed. You will be returned for field duty immediately." And that is where we blacken and leave for tonight. Thank you so much to each of you amazing folks here in our cast, whom I love so dearly. Thank you to our amazing chat for being so amazing, who I love so dearly. I think this was a pretty amazing episode, and I look forward so much to when we return in the new year. Whew. Makes me feel a certain way saying that. But when we return in the new year, a Crumbling Foundation will be back Monday, January 9th. Mark your calendars for that. But don't worry, there will be at least one piece of supplemental media coming in the next few days, maybe the next week, over on our YouTube at Tales from the Table Studios regarding a Crumbling Foundation. I think everyone's going to like it quite a bit. But for now, I'm going to pass everything off to our amazing cast so they can let you know who they are, where you can find them, what they do, all the reasons they're amazing, or at least as many as they can fit in the time we have. Starting with Zoe.
That's right. I was last at the beginning. Hi, everyone. I'm Zoe Trooper. You can find me here everyone. On Tales from the Table Studios. Absolutely amazing people. You can find me on Hollowed Haven Studios, and in the future, the far future, in February, you will find me at Component Cast. That's it, really. I had a really great session tonight. So, yeah.
The Eye.
I am the Eye, as per usual. You only find me here. Here is where you find me, and then you will find me nowhere else because I am the Eye. That's it.
Tal.
Hey, I'm Tal. I don't normally like to burn things to the ground. It was just to clarify. You can find me mainly over on Twitter at the Gamers Rest, and my Ko-fi is where you can pick up some amazing TTRPG supplements, adventures, and cool things like that.
You'll join the dark side soon enough, Tal. It's okay.
Jack.
Yes, hello once again. I am Jack. I have been Agent Hevard Hart, and I had an absolute blast this entire time, as I do every single time. Yes, if you had fun listening to me ramble on in character for a while, you can do so over on twitch.tv/Studio Tembo, where I play in a Star Trek Europa game, Star Trek Adventures game, Star Trek Europa. We probably won't have an episode until the new year, but I play a completely different character, and it's a lot of fun. But if you want to follow more of what I do specifically, come hang out with me on all the social medias my old man brain can keep up with under RPGs Uncovered. And go check out my previous content over on YouTube. You just type in the search bar RPGs Uncovered. We have 3 seasons of learning the games and tutorials and demo play miniseries. We have all kinds of interviews and really fun one-shots that we've had throughout this entire last year, and so much more to come in the new year, specifically season 4 of RPGs Uncovered, featuring a game called Cyber Rats by Alex Reinhart. So come hang out, learn more about that, and passing it up to JD.
Hi, I'm JD. This was a blast tonight. I had so much fun, and thank you to the chat and the cast for all of the love for poor Dr. Zach. I am in the middle of like a 4-day stretch of gaming marathon, so the next few days are going to be interesting. I'll be over with Live from the Apocalypse Tuesday and Wednesday for class reunion winter break, where you get to see me play a high charisma character, which I rarely, if ever, do. And then on Wednesday to run Brindlewood Bay Jingle Bell Shock and see if our nice old ladies can solve yet another murder that has happened in their town. So yeah, a lot of exciting things happening, but I cannot wait to be back here in the new year to see what happens next to our intrepid agents.
And I am Lion. You can find me here. I am the ridiculous head of Tales from the Table Studios. I have been your overseer, and you'll also be able to see. I can talk about it now, right, JD? Just double checking.
Yes.
Great. Just making sure. You'll also be able to find me on Friday over at Live from the Apocalypse, who we absolutely love, for Seasons Beatings on the 23rd, which is going to be amazing, run by Will from Live from the Apocalypse. We're going to be doing a holiday-themed Power Rangers-esque game, and I cannot be more excited for it. So definitely come check us out for that. A couple other things that I have to go over. And then after that, we will actually be going and raiding Live from the Apocalypse because they're still on and they're another one of our favorite channels. We love to do that. So, first, if you enjoy what you've seen here, you can see all of our backlog stuff, catch up on these episodes, all of our other series, one-shots, and miniseries, as well as a number of great interviews that I've been able to have over the last year on YouTube, where we are Tales from the Table Studios. You can find us there, and I promise you will not be disappointed with the stuff you find there then and moving forward into the future. You can also support us in a number of ways. We have the subscribe button. We're always happy to have more subscribers, but we also have a Ko-Fi. On our Ko-Fi, we have a number of different membership tiers, which range from allowing things like naming rights for NPCs and locations, which we will have plenty of opportunities for coming up in the very near future. We also have the ability to access talkback shows. We do once a month for every game that we run, where the cast sits down, starts having a conversation, talk about the things we've been through, what we're excited for, how we're feeling, and more. It's great. And if that's not enough, we also have at our highest tier membership every month, we do a bit of a lottery, and the winner will be able to request a custom character. We will help you build it, write a backstory, come up with personality, and anything else you need or want to your requests within reason. If we don't know the system, we'll learn it. Don't you worry. We're happy to do so. I'm always happy to learn new systems. It will, however, also include a free piece of artwork from our in-house artist, Miss Moon, who is amazing and does so much of the art here on Tales from the Table Studios, and we are very, very lucky to have her. Also, we have a Discord. If you enjoy what you've seen here, if you want to talk to all of these amazing people, if you want to be a part of our community, keep up to date with announcements for our shows, new shows, casting announcements, community game nights. Those are the ways to do it. Go over to our Discord. The link should be below, and if for some reason it's not there or not working, go over to Twitter. You can find me at the Lion Knight 42, where you can find the link there in the not allowed and then allowed again drum link that I have in my profile. And I will take half a second here because I feel like it's mandatory to say fuck that muskrat guy. With that said, also on our Ko-Fi, because I forgot about this, and I'm so sorry, so I'm going to double back. By the end of the week, we will have up a Kids on Bikes module called One Night at Ollie's, which is a Five Nights at Freddy's inspired module, completely free for you to play. I put a lot of work into it, and I really hope everyone enjoys it, and I'd love to hear thoughts and feedback. Let me know what you think. Let me know on Twitter. Let me know here. Let me know on our Discord. Anywhere and everywhere. I just want to put it out there for y'all to play. I hope everyone enjoys it. With that said, we'll be back. Well, some of us will be back tomorrow night for Dice Trays Action at 8:30, which will be our final stream here for the year of 2022. But we'll be back in January, and while I can't get into specifics yet, we're coming back in much larger force, and it is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Can't wait. Keep your eyes peeled on Twitter, on Discord for those announcements, because they're coming, and man, are they good. Okay, I think I've gone over everything I need to go over. So, we are going to go raid Live from the Apocalypse, who's still doing stuff. Remember to love yourself, take care of yourself. Remember to eat enough, drink enough, do the things you got to do for your own mental health. And always remember to tell your tales. We'll see you again real soon. Off we go. Give me one moment to hit this button that does not want to